Welcome back to another Line 6 Pod Go overview tutorial. Today we're going to be looking at the amp and the cab settings. So let's dive right in. As always, this video will be very quick and I will include the manual from Line 6 website so you can dive a little bit more if something catches your eye. But right now we're going to be working in a brand new preset, and over here you're going to see the amp icon. You're going to want to click that, double click it, get it set up where it's showing this window. Whatever amp you're using, it may look different than mine, but if you click on these three dots on the right, you're going to have a drop-down menu of all of the different amps that you can choose from. Again, be sure to check out the manual. You're going to see what all of these models are actually based off of. You can see there's some Fender, there's some Vox, there's some Orange. I like to use the AC30 amp. So you double click on that, you're going to get these settings. Most of the amps have very similar stuff. Some have less, some will have a couple more. But you're going to have your drive, you're going to have your bass, your treble, your presence, your master, things like that to play around with. And if we click on the three dots again, you can play with your preamp. And I want to read something that comes from Line 6 website. This is what they have to say about amp and preamp. They say every preset has one amp or preamp block. Amp blocks contain both preamp and power amp modeling. A preamp block contains only preamp modeling. By default, changing an amp or preamp model will automatically load a matching model in the cab block, but this behavior can be changed in the global settings. And I'm going to include a video that I have, excuse me, that I did on global settings that you can check out and see all the settings that you can mess around with within the global aspect of the Pod Go. But you can play around with this. You can do just a preamp if you want, and these are the settings that you can have with the preamp. But you have a lot of options to choose from. That's what I love about the Pod Go. You have so many different amps and preamps. So let's take a look at the cabs. This is where I love spending most of my time because it's so much fun to play around with the different settings. You have a cab and you have an IR. IR is impulse responses, and this is what Line 6 has to say about those. Impulse responses are mathematical functions representing the sonic measurements of specific audio systems. For Pod Go, acoustic guitar body, resonance, or speaker cabinet and microphone combinations. Pod Go can load and store up to 128 custom or third-party impulse responses at a time. I don't play around with impulse responses much, but I know that there's a lot of people that are selling third-party, and they sound amazing. I've watched a lot of YouTube videos. I'd encourage you guys to check those out. But we're going to look at just the cab settings. I like to play around with the 2x12 Bluebell, but you can see that there's quite a bit of different options of cabs to choose from. So if you double click on the one you like, this is where it gets really fun and interesting because you can choose different mic options or distancing, low cut, high cut, early reflection, or levels. The possibilities, I mean, they're endless. You can do whatever you like. And if you want more info, page 16 of the manual, you're going to get the camp models and what they're based on. You're going to get the mic models and what they're based on, and then your cab settings and what you can play around with. But I'm going to cycle through the mic settings just so you can see. So on the right here where my mouse is, you're going to see what mic options there are. And I'm just going to cycle through them very quickly. And there it is. You have 16 to choose from. And next, we're going to look at the distance. What this means is if you're in the studio, you're going to have your amp, and then you're going to mic your amp for recording. And when you mic your amp, you can play around with distance and where you want to do it. And with this, you can choose if you want the mic to be 1 inch from the speaker or 12 inches. A lot of possibilities. And again, you have your low cut, your high cut, early reflections, and level, and you can play around with those different settings. I love the Pod Go because you don't have to go out and buy a new cab, a new amp, new pedals. You can just play around with the stuff here. And the Pod Go is only like $450, really inexpensive for the stuff that you get. So that's an overview and look at the preamps, the amps, the cabs, and all the settings you can play around with. If I missed anything or if you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments. I do enjoy doing these videos and I appreciate you guys checking them out, and I will reach out and answer any questions that you guys may have. Thanks again for checking out my video. I'll see you guys next time.